Alright, so today I'm having to work on the tractor. Last Saturday, which has been a week ago today, I was planting this field and got the majority of it planted and was coming back around to putting my end rows in, planting end rows, and all of a sudden, this big old tractor, it's like a big old dust cloud came out from under the hood, and I said, well, that don't make no sense, because this field's wet. It wasn't no dust or nothing. And so I got out the tractor real fast and looked up under the hood and noticed I had a pulley. I'm at the sun. I had a pulley, and that pulley, you can see where the dust was coming around the inside. When that pulley fell off, well, guess what? This pulley's supposed to sit like that. Well, when I found it, it was like that. So if you ain't ever seen how a V-belt can cut a pulley into, same belt that you're supposed to use on something, well, actually, over time, wear a pulley, and that thing's sharp too. So if you ever seen a 4630 tractor look like that, this is what I'm doing. The tractor was running warm ever since I got it, and everybody says, oh man, that's a major fix. Well, it's not really a major fix, and actually I put 2 brand new belts on there back in the fall, and it cut one of them when the pulley fell off. But I mean, it's not major. I mean, obviously I had to take the radiator out, which radiator I cleaned before I even started running it again this year, because like I say, it wanted to run warm. Well, I decided, well, if I got to take the hood off and take everything else off and tear it all down, then I might as well go ahead and put a new water pump on it and put a new radiator in it. So I ordered everything I needed Monday, and I'll be daggum. I can get a radiator from Kansas, and it'll be here on Thursday after I order on Monday. I can get a water pump out of Bishopville, and it'll be here on Wednesday when I order it out Monday. I can order seals or gaskets for everything to go back together. I can order belts and water pumps and everything you need. Well, guess what I ain't got yet? Went to the John Deere place this morning. I ordered this part from John Deere. Went to the John Deere dealership this morning. Called them Thursday. We still ain't got it. Then I called them again yesterday. We still ain't got it. Should be here Saturday morning, which is this morning. So I had to go to John Deere anyways. I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and at least put my water pump back on, have all that back together. Still ain't got it. So, you get a little angry when that stuff happens. So the parts manager at the local John Deere dealership has been working there for years, and it's a good friend of mine. I called him over and said, man, figure out what's going on. He looked up in the computer and, well, dang, it ain't even been shipped yet. Well, originally they said the pulley was in Atlanta, which ain't that far away. Usually that's about a day or two, just stock order. Then they said, well, there ain't one in hot Atlanta. You got to get out of Milan, I don't know, somewhere up north. Indiana, Iowa, one of them states up that way. And ain't even been shipped yet. So now I can put the water pump back in. I can put the thermostat housing. Oh, thermostat housing. By the way, I'm going to show y'all something if I can find them again. Thermostats. Now, the reason this tractor's probably running hot, or I say hot, it ain't never run hot on me, but running warm, is these little things right here. These are called thermostats. What a thermostat does is when you crank a motor up in any vehicle, the thermostat gets the water antifreeze to a certain operating temperature. Okay? And then once it gets a certain operating temperature, it's got an element in it, a metal. And what it does is this right here will expand and open up this inside and allow water to go through. And then you'll start circulating water, and then it'll cool water through the radiator and just pushes it around. Well, these bad boys right here is probably what the problem is. See that 180 on it? That means it opens at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So what they do is, like I say, they open up and they allow water to go through. Well, if these are bad and one's opening and the other one ain't opening, guess what? You're gonna run warm. And then if you take the tractor and you sit there, or any vehicle, and you sit there and it'll cool back down. Then you go back to operating again and it won't heat back up. Well, these go into the manifold housing. This is where your water and all goes through. It goes in through here and then back down to your head, which this right here is your head, and it runs front to back on a 6-cylinder motor. V8s, you got one on each side of the block. All right. Well, in the state of South Carolina, even though this morning it frosted, but in the state of South Carolina, it very seldom gets to where you need a thermostat. And I know people say, well, diesel motors need to run around 180. Well, that's in South Carolina. 1 week out the year, we might have freezing temperatures. And in that 1 week, everybody in South Carolina don't even leave the house. They stay inside. So if you ever see thermostats in a motor, and this is what I always do, if I ever go into a motor and I find thermostats, I take them and throw them away and I don't put them back in. You don't need thermostats in South Carolina. This is the dirty South. It gets hot as can be, and I ain't running no heater and no tractor in the middle of the summer. So I mean, just take your thermostats, throw them away. That right there is 60% of the time an overheating issue. Thermostats, get rid of them. About like DEF and all the other crap in vehicles. Get rid of it all the new junk. But I'm gonna start showing us. We got to take this coupler right here off. It drives your hydraulic pump. This is a coupler to be able to get that other belt back on. I bought a new belt, so we got to take that off, and then we'll start putting the gaskets in the manifold housing neck, which is right here, back on, and cleaning everything up, and starting to put the water pump on, and have to wait till Tuesday to put the fan back on because it goes to the pulley mount, and then you got to put the radiator in. And I mean, it's just, you got to take everything out to get to one thing, which ain't bad, but the whole pulley issue is bad. That's ridiculous for a John Deere to have trouble like that and not even have it ordered or shipped. I like I say, I've always been a red Case International, especially International Harvester, before Case International came and merged. International Harvester, that's the best tractor and equipment ever made. But I buy John Deere because I know that if I want to sell this tractor for what I got in it, I got room to play, a lot of room to play for what I paid for this tractor. I can fix it and spend money on it and fix it up and still come out on top when I sell it. But John Deere, just the resale value of a John Deere, just because it's a John Deere, is astronomical compared to any other tractor. But like I say, I'm gonna start putting this stuff together, and I'll video some more as I'm putting it back together. Also, if you ever have on your tractors, this plate here, this is putting the belt on part. You got 2 bolts, 2 nuts. Loosen your nuts, and your bolts you're still gonna have to drive out because they're threaded into the other side. They go together like that. And I changed these rubber bushings, some bushings down in here. If these bushings right here wear out, and they're cheap, and they're very cheap. I mean, they ain't nothing to put in. No, I mean, you just take a bar and you squeeze them in. But if you don't change those bushings, you see that right there? If you check this thing and the bushings are wore, cracked, I mean, they're gonna go out. But if that right there, see that groove in there? That groove is actually this pin without the bushing installed on it. And it will wear those things out. But to put the belt in, all you do is you take those things out and you spin your hydraulic pump arm right on around, and you take your other belt, which is a little bit harder when the radiator and all in, but it's not so bad. You take your other belt and you fish it right in there. Now I'm back to 2 belts, and then you slam it all back together. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty neat design too, but like I say, that's how you put the belt on pretty much any 30 series, 40 series, 50 series, 55 series, and 60 series John Deere tractors. All right, so we got everything. The water pump, see how shiny it is. Got the gaskets. spacer plate goes behind the water pump, thermostat, neck housing. Let's see here. Front of the motor is all polished up. Everything's polished up. We try to get them old gasket material off. Best way to do it is wire brush, because you be sitting there forever, old school way, old scraper, and them gaskets get so hard and all that it just, you know, takes forever. Another thing is this, and I'm gonna have to put that in the sun so you can see it. See all these little imperfections of it being 42, 43 years old. That right there is old rust, and I mean it's going to happen even though there's a gasket in there. And your gaskets, once you crank down on them, the gasket's going to crush anyways. But because there's so many imperfections and all in that metal, I always use a special tool, mechanic's best friend. And yes, I use the high temp silicone. They got the gear oil one, which sometimes it works. They got the, you know, water, the blue, and everything. I always use the orange. Everything I do, I use orange. Just have better luck with the orange. But you just squirt some of that on them gaskets and everything and seal them up and let them ride. Okay, so we got the water pump mounted back to the front of the motor. And got the spacer plate behind that. And then, I mean, that's your head right there. But our engine block. But the shield here is mounted back. This pipe here is what goes to your intake. Not intake, your daggum water manifold. And line back on. And it's coming back together. If John Deere get it behind in gear, I mean, I could probably another hour have it all back together and everything. I noticed something a minute ago. I got to change this line right here. That's good for fuel, but it's kind of air runs through it. It acts as a suction to keep everything primed, or pressure. But like I said, that's what we're working on today is, or right now today. And now we're getting ready to go hook up hog waters and turn some hogs out. And hopefully, like I say, Tuesday or Wednesday, this track to be back planting, ready to go. Turn some breeders out, let them eat and play, and you know what? Shut that big gate behind me, man. First time they've been out in a while now, and a few of them big sows is pregnant, but hopefully, yeah. I'm counting 1, 2, 3. I think 4 of them is pregnant right now. I can tell at least they're bred. I think that one right there ain't bred yet. Obviously that one ain't bred because he does the breeding. But still, enjoy being out here for a while, catch some sun. But there's some breeders right there, 400 or 500 pound sows. That's where the piglets come from. Like and subscribe, or hit the like button and subscribe to the Wiggins Farms channel. Thank you.